It's unbelievable when I think of us now. So they're 33 and 31 years old. They have 5 children under the age of 10. My mother had learned to speak French and German, but never English and Spanish, of course. My father only knew textbook medical school English, and given the opportunity, my mother doesn't know how to drive, and we end up coming to the United States. You can imagine it was a lot of sensory overload and a litany of experiences for young immigrants and their large family. I had to grow up inordinately fast. I think to some degree I lost a lot of my childhood. It was an intense, difficult, soul-searching time. I think as a new immigrant in any country, it's not easy, even if it's a country of opportunity. The political climate, though, definitely made it harder to have the amount of infrastructure and focus on some of the things that meant a lot, specifically to my father at the time. I also had a fabulous situation there. I went to an empowering all-girls school. I was able to focus on my education. I received a pretty strong foundation in the English language. So when I came to the United States, I was fortunate enough to be able to almost accelerate a year and a half of schooling. So when I went to Rice, I just turned 17. So I really was able, that was a positive experience. I will say that I don't know that specifically my time as I was growing back up. I have gone there significantly. I still consider, although I'm very proud to be a U.S. citizen, I do feel still a lot of pride in being a South American. I have always kept my own name. I still introduce myself as Sofia Adrogué. No one can pronounce it. I'm always perennially, in essence, spelling it, but it's fine. I will say though, being able to go back and appreciate the differences, I do think that it allows me to have a better perspective on the world. But now as I reflect, being from another country, being from a South American country, it definitely gives you a better appreciation for other immigrants, for other cultures, for other opportunities. Simultaneously, it also gives you a great appreciation for the United States, because it is a country that is accepting, that is willing to consider people from all countries. And I do believe that although there is not a perfect society and a perfect place, it is incredibly egalitarian, it is entrepreneurial, and I felt that I can still have my pride in my native land of Argentina, but being able to succeed within the United States. It's a fascinating opportunity, and I try to go home as often as possible. If you want to be a professional and a woman, you either have to be super rich, superwoman, or self-employed. And the whole concept of how truly difficult it is to have it all. That it is ultimately going to be a balance in quotations. It is asymmetry. You are never, there are moments when my children can probably say, I am not giving them my all. Hopefully those are rare moments, but I've more than once said, okay guys, I'm about to be in trial. Unless you are bleeding and en route to the hospital, I cannot take your call right now. I don't know that being a Latina woman has shaped my approach to my work. I mean, my work is my work. I am very proud to be a Latina, to be Hispanic, to be an immigrant. Whether I am or not is not going to define my work style, my work approach, what I plan to do and what I do. Do I think that it has made me have a different life experience than others, similar situated, that are not Latinas? Yes. I think with a lot of positive that can come with that. I'm able to deliver. I've got the skill set, I've got X, Y, and Z plus. And that little plus is that I wasn't born in this country, that I was born in Argentina, that I am fully bilingual. I'm very appreciative and open to and understanding of other cultures, and the drive, the hunger that it takes to succeed. And I know what it's like to be with family when people question your accent, when people say they can't understand you, when you first start off and your father makes the equivalent. My father was paid $5,400 a year, which is the equivalent of $20,000 or so today. That's not a very wealthy experience being in Boston with 5 children. We lived very frugally. I had very little of anything. Do I think I have a special spot in my heart for people that have worked inordinately hard and come from nothing, regardless of where they come from or even within the United States, but don't have everything in life here? Yes. Do I have a special place in my heart for people that have to take the bus? Yes. I took it to my first jobs at Vincent and Elkins. I would take 2 buses to get to and walk 8 blocks to get to my first internship. Do I think that my life experience has been colored and shaped by being an immigrant, by being Hispanic? Yes, for positive, I would say almost all positive, but with a little extra life lessons. But in terms of physical, personal struggles, no, not really, other than just sheer exhaustion and stress. Stress to be the very best person I can be. But I will tell you, it does take an inordinate amount of thick skin and a lot of drive and a lot of internal self-worth and confidence that just takes time. I will say also, some people don't like to get older. I'm happy to say I've been practicing 25 years. I just turned 50 this year. The great news is things get easier because you want to make a difference. You want a carpe diem. You want to design your life, and you care less and less to the degree there's some haters. You just focus on what you can control, and the rest, it is what it is. I believe in designing a life, not just having a career. And I think that happiness is not an accident. I think is something that you have to decide. And I think you have to get up every day, even if you have a huge headache or you have a lot of life issues, because there's a lot of life issues out there for people. Everyone has a cross they're bearing. Some are larger than others. And sometimes they're insurmountably large, and then you get help. But if not, whatever makes you happy. For me personally, it has been this giving back. I was very involved in high school. So whether it was National Honor Society and doing the community service or being president of my class or whatever it may be, I was just involved. So from my perspective, when I went to law school and then to work, I never envisioned that I would just be singularly faceted. I knew that I would have other aspects of my life. How exactly, I had no idea. And it really was women at first that mentored me and sponsored me, saying, you look like you would want to join Girls Inc. of Greater Houston. They had just started in Houston within a year. I said, what's that? National organization devoted to inspiring all girls to be strong, smart, and bold. By the way, that ended up being my motto with my children. The girls particularly, and now Stefan, but it's different for the girls, would have to walk out and each day look at me, eyeball me, and say, what are girls? I would say, what are girls? And they would have to say, strong, smart, and bold. And they believe it. They believe it. It just accelerates and it spreads. And now I serve on the Houston First Board. I was just appointed by City Council, which oversees 11 buildings downtown, including the George R. Brown, which I was inordinately proud. We converted it into a city shelter within 30 minutes. I know Rice volunteers were out there with a storm at NRG, at the convention center, etc. It has now catapulted into a litany of things. I also helped create with my daughter, who's a dog aficionado, the first dog walk for the city of Houston, which we hold at Rice. It has generated a lot of activity, but it just takes one. It takes one. It takes doing it well. It takes being willing to be a leader or stepping up. Who knows if you're being a leader? Stepping up. And then having people recognize that you can step up, speak up, deliver, and then it's the next one. You have to be fortunate enough to have an infrastructure, to have a base, a campground, so that if you're going to be a successful climber, I don't climb, but the concept is, as you're trying to reach the zenith in your path, you've got to have a home base, a place, the wrinkle-free zone, the place where you can be safe, the place where I can put on my black sweatpants and hang out with my kids and work like a fiend and read and write and think, but that you can be there. Nothing's perfect, but where you can kind of get your energy back up. And I will tell you, that's also an investment in of itself. I've been married for 25 years. To be married for 25 years, to be practicing for 25 years, and raising kids while doing this simultaneously, it takes a lot of investment in your base camp. Here's absolute advertisement for education. I absolutely and categorically believe it is the great equalizer. Everything being equal, going back to school at the age of 40 was aberrationally special and potentially even more beneficial had it done it from the beginning. But it all goes back to you never know what's going to transpire. You never know where the opportunities will be created. So be prepared, be focused, be thoughtful, treat people well along the way. And ideally, you'll have the luxury of something coming to fruition. It was the able to succeed within schools that allowed me to then have 17 job offers. And it's a good story because I went from having to take a bus to being able to buy my own sports car after my first year of law school. So it's a good story. It can absolutely happen. What's next? I have energy, I have passion, my 5 Ps. Plus, I will say also, one of the other 5 Ps, which leads to have the power. I think power also need not be a dirty word. It has to just be appropriately utilized. If I then can utilize all that I've learned and catapult in a position to make a difference for even more, would I take it? Absolutely. Do I think I've prepared? Absolutely. Do I think that Rice gave me a great base for it? Yes. Do I believe wholeheartedly Stephen Kleinberg's perspective of Rice and specifically Houston as a prophetic city that really on the emergence of something even bigger as a paradigm city within the United States? Absolutely. Do I believe my life experiences as a female and the empowerment I've tried to learn along the way has prepared me for other things? Yes. We'll just see what comes next.
I believe that's all the questions we have for you. Do you have anything else you'd like to add?
No, anything else from your perspective?
Questions? No?
I don't have any.
Yeah, I'm good. I feel like we've already got so much footage.
Yeah.
I
was going to be the challenge.
know it's going to be hard.
Good. Well, thank you guys.